Our selection for today is Write the Vision.
Write the vision, make it plain, that they may run and not faint. Though the vision is only for a while, it shall speak and not lie. For if God said it, you can count on it. He will do just what He said. Write the vision, make it plain, that they may run and not faint. Though the vision is only for a while, it shall speak and not lie. For if God said it, you can count on it. He will do just what He said. It is done. Yes, it is done. He will do just what He said. It is done. Yes, it is done. He will do just what He said. He will do just what He will do just what He will do just what He said. Write the vision, make it plain, that they may run and not faint. Though the vision is only for a while, it shall speak and not lie. For if God said it, you can count on it. He will do just what He said. Write the vision, write the vision, write the vision, write the vision. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch on to prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praised and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. As we know, we are about to celebrate our Feast of Weeks, which is now more commonly known as Pentecost. And that is doing a great disservice to most of the people who are about to take part in these days. There are a lot of Christian congregations that are going to keep Pentecost and have no idea that they are partaking in a Old Testament holy day. Because of the name change, Penta meaning the Greek term meaning 50, there's a whole lot of things that are not understood. That's why we did the sermon about understanding the Feast of Pentecost, so that there would be understanding that it is 7 Sabbaths, and then the next day is the day of Pentecost. So 7, this is why Pentecost, of course, is always on a Sunday, and we, of course, our Sunday begins Saturday night. No day begins at 12 o'clock midnight. That is not anything that we would ever be able to figure out before we had our man-made gadgets. So it was very easy to figure out when there was a change in day as far as Yahweh standards go. When the sun went down, that began a new day. It's very easy to figure out. As the seasons change, you still have the same thing that happens. The sun goes down. So the day changes at different times depending on what the season is. But the way man has things now, you'd have to have one of their gadgets, one of their clocks, one of your phone or something to figure out exactly when the day changes, because you're trying to figure out when 12 o'clock midnight is. And that's not the way Yahweh does things. It is very easy for us to understand it when we go according to the things that he has set up. Of course, even understanding that Pentecost is 7 Sabbaths, and then the next day, even if the Sunday churchgoers believe that their Sabbath was changed to Sunday, that would make their Pentecost be on Monday. It is always the day after. So the whole way that things are being kept is out of order. And you have people that are highly educated. This is not a situation of lack of education, because these congregations are being ran by people who have PhDs in theology. So they understand how to count it. I don't need to have a PhD to understand that 7 times 7 is 49. And the next day is the 50th day. So we know that they still understand when the Sabbath is, because they counted 7 Saturdays, and then the next day, Sunday, was Pentecost. And that is still being kept. There are loads of congregations that are going to have the same Pentecost at the same time, and the only way you count that is 7 Sabbaths from that Feast of Unleavened Bread. So that means they understand all of those Old Testament holy days. They understand when to begin to count, and they understand when the Sabbath is. They are just not sharing that with everybody else. That is a issue. But our next thing in dealing with all of that is to understand how we're supposed to represent our houses. Because what Yahweh has within those holy days, he says 3 times out of the year, all males must make an appearance unto me. Well, you are representing your houses as you do that. So then we must understand how we represent our houses, because this is a situation where it's all males. So does that mean that Yahweh is not recognizing his daughters? We understand that you can't have men without his daughters. So then we have a situation where Yahshua becomes that intercessor for those houses where there is not a man. But then there's an issue where there is a man there, and then you have to ask yourself, is that man representing his house the way that it should be done? So let's begin in Exodus chapter 13, and we're going to read verses 1 through 16.
Exodus chapter 13 and verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever opens the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and of beast, it is mine. And Moshe said unto the people, Remember this day in which you came out from Egypt, out of the house of bondage. For by strength of hand Yahweh brought you out from this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten. This day came you out in the month Abib. And it shall be when Yahweh shall bring you into the land of the Canaanites.
All right, so the first thing, this day came you out in the month Abib, which corresponds to late March and April. So we know that this is during the time of the Passover, and these things must be kept in their correct season. All right, go ahead.
And it shall be when Yahweh shall bring you into the land of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, which he sware unto your fathers to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, that you shall keep the service in this month.
Right. Now, there's certain things that we have to recognize as we're dealing with our culture. This is the land of the Canaanites. It was called Canaan land. When you backtrack who Canaan is, Canaan, we're talking about the son of Ham, which would be the people who we call Africans. But the first things that the so-called Israelis want you to believe is that there were no dark-skinned Africans this high up in Africa. They have given us the term Middle East. That's North Africa. There ain't no such thing as Middle East. They have given that to us so they can separate the land where Israel is from Africa. That way you won't connect any darker skinned people to being Israel. They are fully committed in their takeover. Go ahead.
Verse 6. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, and the 7th day shall be a feast to Yahweh. Unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall no leavened bread be seen with you, neither shall there be leaven seen with you in all your quarters.
Leaven is what causes bread to rise. Leaven is a representation of sin, because when something rises or becomes puffed up, it will not follow instructions. So then we're dealing with unleavened bread. That would be flat bread, bread that does not rise. If something is flat, then it bows down and accepts the direction of Yahweh Elohim. But when something is puffed up, it will not accept instruction. It will not accept direction, no matter where it comes from. Go ahead.
And you shall show your son in that day, saying, This is done because of that which Yahweh did unto me when I came forth out of Egypt. And it shall be for a sign unto you upon your hand, and for a memorial between your eyes, that Yahweh's law may be in your mouth. For with a strong hand has Yahweh brought you out of Egypt. You shall therefore keep this ordinance in his season from year to year. And it shall be when Yahweh shall bring you into the land of the Canaanites, as he sware unto you and to your fathers, and shall give it you, that you shall set apart unto Yahweh all that opens the matrix, and every firstling that comes of a beast which you have, the males shall be Yahweh's.
Right. The matrix is the womb. All that sets apart, you shall set apart unto Yahweh all that openeth the womb, every firstling that comes of a beast which you have, the males shall belong to Yahweh. Go ahead.
And every firstling of an ass you shall redeem with a lamb. And if you will not redeem it, then you shall break his neck.
If you redeem it, then you don't have to offer it. You redeem it with the lamb, so the lamb is offered in its place. See, there's a part of redeeming that was even happening when you have the offering of Esau. When Abraham was told to go and offer up his son, then they saw the ram caught by its horns. It was then offered up in the stead of his son. He was redeemed. There was a lot that Yahweh was going through right there, but we just think it's a story. It was already alluding to the Messiah. Go ahead.
And all the firstborn of man among your children shall you redeem. And it shall be, when your son asks you in time to come, saying, What is this? That you shall say unto him, By strength of hand Yahweh brought us out from Egypt, from the house of bondage.
So if your firstborn of your sons you were able to redeem, that means, of course, you don't offer them up. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, when Pharaoh would hardly let us go, that Yahweh slew all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beasts. Therefore I sacrifice to Yahweh all that opens the matrix, being males, but all the firstborn of my children I redeem.
All the firstborn of my children I do not have to offer up, but all the firstborn of these animals, these clean animals, they will be offered up unto Yahweh. Go ahead.
And it shall be for a token upon your hands, and for your frontlets between your eyes, for by strength of hand Yahweh brought us forth out of Egypt.
Right. All right. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 15, because there's some things that we have to understand about those things that are sanctified unto Yahweh. Deuteronomy chapter 15, and we're going to read verses 19 through 23.
Verse 19. All the firstling males that come of your herd and of your flock you shall sanctify unto Yahweh Elohim. You shall do no work with the firstling of your bullock, nor share the firstling of your sheep.
Right. So then these things are the first. You can't work with those. You can't do common things with the things that are set aside for Yahweh. See, the whole part of being sanctified is being set apart, being separated. So one of the things that we don't, a lot of times you hear people saying sanctified, but they don't really understand what it means. To be sanctified, this thing is separated. We were, even during that time of segregation, we were separated from all the nations. Being separated, that was a certain sanctification that we had. Our biggest problem is we then began to mingle with the nations and picked up all of their ways. That was not what the people were going for. They wanted separate but equal. Give us the right to do and have certain things, but we don't need to mingle with the nations and have to do and worship their gods. We just want good quality things in our neighborhood. We want to be able to ride. If I pay the same to get on the bus, I want to be able to sit anywhere I want to sit. I paid the same amount to ride on this bus as every other person of every other nation. You didn't charge me a lesser fee. I paid the same amount. So I need to be able to sit where anybody else sit. Go ahead.
Verse 20. You shall eat it before Yahweh your Elohim year by year in the place which Yahweh shall choose, you and your household. And if there be any blemish therein, as if it be lame or blind or have any ill blemish, you shall not sacrifice it unto Yahweh your Elohim.
Right. It cannot be a blemished sacrifice. So these are the things that are given naturally. We have to then understand those things in a spiritual context if we are going to do our work for Yahweh our Elohim. If we do those things in a wrong way, then our offering, our spiritual offering, then becomes blemished unto Yahweh our Elohim. There was a reason why when they got ready to break the legs of the Messiah, he went on and gave up the ghost so that he would not be a blemished sacrifice. A broken bone would have made him blemish. That's why he went on and died before that time. Go ahead.
You shall eat it within your gates. The unclean and the clean person shall eat it alike, as the roebuck and as the hart.
So then you find that these are what you would call deer, the roebuck and as the hart. These are animals that are clean but are not yet offered on Yahweh's altar. Go ahead.
Only you shall not eat the blood thereof. You shall pour it upon the ground as water.
Right. We fully cook the things that we eat. We don't eat medium rare and all of these things. These things still have the blood in it. Right? They'll show you this stuff on TV and say, and they do advertisements talking about, look at these juicy steak. That's not juice, that's blood. And all they do is cook the top of it, and then they'll cut the middle, and you'll see the brown on the top, and it's completely red in the middle. And they're doing the advertisement, and what's happening is your brain is getting programmed. And it started as children. I remember seeing this as a child. That this is a juicy steak. This is a juicy steak. This is a juicy steak. This is what you keep getting fed in your brain. Before you even understand what a steak is, they show you this. Yahweh says you got to get all the blood out of that animal. You can't cook or eat something with the blood. So that when we get to that point of we're allowing somebody to give us some rare meat, that meat ain't cooked. That still has the life blood in it. Understand what Yeshua ended up saying when he rose. When Christ rose, they said, oh, you must be a spirit. He said, touch me. I ain't a spirit. Spirits don't have flesh and bone as what you see me have. That went by a whole lot of people. Go ahead.
That was the end of that.
That was the end of that. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 26. Deuteronomy chapter 26, and we're going to read verses 8 through 19.
Verse 8. And Yahweh brought us forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand, and with an outstretched arm, and with great terribleness, and with signs and with wonders.
As he shall do again. Because we have imposters, and we can get in this book and read where the rulers of Babylon took the children of Israel out and placed other people in Israel in the stead of Israel. Now, we can go and find this in the book. But you know, if you keep saying that nowadays, you might get charged with a crime. But we'll talk about that a little later. Go ahead.
And he has brought us into this land, and has given us this land, even a land that flows with milk and honey. And now, behold, I have brought the first fruits of the land, which you, O Yahweh, has given me. And you shall set it before Yahweh your Elohim, and worship before Yahweh your Elohim. And you shall rejoice in every good thing which Yahweh your Elohim has given unto you, and unto your house, you and the Levite and the stranger that is among you.
Right. Now, this is not just stranger, you just go out and grab somebody type thing. You have to understand that when Israel came out of Egypt, there was a mixed multitude of different ethnic groups that came with them. Egypt was a conquering power. They conquered all over the place, which means that they end up in situations like you would find in America. They have people of all ethnic groups among them. Those people came with Israel as well. So if the stranger understands your culture, he may come with you. So you got to understand, if you start allowing just strange people who don't understand your culture, they're gonna may end up making a situation where you have to do something to them. Because then they turn around and violate Yahweh, and Yahweh make you take care of some business. Go ahead.
When you have made an end of tithing all the tithes of your increase, the third year, which is the year of tithing.
So then they had an opportunity to get in this land, grow, cultivate what they were going to cultivate, and get it ready before these things were then required of them. Go ahead.
And has given it unto the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, that they may eat within your gates and be filled.
So even the people who were this mixed multitude that came with Israel that were not Israel, if they were able to partake in all of these things, you see how they would begin to lean toward the culture, because they were seeing that this is a joyous time. The same way we start keeping all of the pagan days that were given unto us. A slave on a plantation didn't know the difference between Christmas or Easter as far as the date was. But I tell you one thing, a slave realized, hey man, I ain't working today and ain't nobody beating me. It's real easy to figure that out. You know that dude who be on that horse with that whip? You know he ain't out here today. It's real easy to figure that part out. Then you start liking, I don't know what that day is, but I like that day. I like that dude not on that horse with that whip. And you start figuring out, wait a minute, this day come around every year. And you start looking at the trees. Wait a minute, the trees look the same every time that dude on the horse disappear. And they seem to be happy for like about 3 or 4 days. They passing out gifts to one another, and we not getting whoopings. Real easy. Next thing you know, boom, we stuck. Thinking, this is Christ's birth. Messiah was born outside. Nobody in their right mind take a newborn baby outside on December 25th. He would freeze to death. Pores wide open, just coming out of his mama. And you gonna leave the baby outside all night in the cold? That same thing that they celebrating right now, you go to jail for now. Take a newborn baby that just born, take him outside and keep him out there all night. You going to jail in the morning. Go ahead, bro.
No, what you were saying about, the strangers, following our ancestors coming out of Egypt, you also consider, if I'm not mistaken, was it Boaz and Ruth?
Mm-hmm.
And, you consider Ruth, she didn't even go with her sister,
Mm-hmm.
which is her family. But she was moved, to walk.
To follow the God of Israel.
Exactly.
Right. She's, I'm not going to follow the gods of my people. So then what you have is her making that decision that even though she is of a different ethnic group, this is going to be her God. Point blank. This is the God that I'm going to follow. and she was treated as one of Israel once all of that went down. Ezekiel chapter 36. Because, see, there's a difference between grabbing a hold of the culture and then trying to steal it. See, it's one thing with you allowing me to come and dwell in your house. It's something altogether different if you come home and I'm already in there. I'm in there cooking, walking around, you know what I'm saying? Wait a minute. It's like I don't remember talking to you about coming to my house. You know, I mean, if you asked to come to my house, that's one thing. But you just going to be walking around up in there? See, that's the difference between what we see today. See, these people are not trying to become a part of Israel and admit that they are proselytes, that they are converts. No. They say it's theirs and you can't come in. That's a problem. Ezekiel chapter 36, and we're going to read verses 1 through 38.
Also, you son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, you mountains of Israel, hear the word of Yahweh.
So at this point then, when you understand that Yahweh has these firstborn that are supposed to be his, now you have to deal with who's representing the God of Israel here on earth. And these individuals say that it is them. Go ahead.
Thus says the Adonai Yah, because the enemy has said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession.
Right. These are the things that are being said right now. They said the land is ours. And they didn't wait for God to give it to them. No, America and Great Britain gave it to them. So then according to this word, then America and Great Britain would be God. Because that's how they got it. Go ahead.
Therefore prophesy and say, thus says the Adonai Yah, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that you might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and you are taken up in the lips of talkers and are an infamy of the people.
All you have to do is turn on the news and watch at 5 o'clock. And you are the infamous people that they discuss all day long. They show everything that people who look like you do wrong. And if you're not careful, you begin to think that other nations are not doing anything wrong because you don't see them on TV. That's why we thought that we were the ones who got most of the welfare, because all you seen in the projects was us. But see, what happened is you didn't take a ride down to them trailer parks down there in Jonesboro and right over there around the country area. You didn't know that Gentiles were getting more welfare than any black people were getting. See, but they were not visible. They were not being shown on television. Even as they start talking about all of these things of outlawing abortions, what people don't really know is there were mostly Gentiles that are receiving abortions. It is them that they're trying to stop, because several years ago they had put out that America is about to be in a crisis as far as the white agenda goes, because they are not producing enough white children. And they are getting the majority of the abortions.
60-something percentile.
Yes. So this law was about maintaining the white number so that they will not become a minority in the country that they stole. They said, we stole this place fair and square. Now we need to stay a majority. And that's not happening. So they use their legal system to make what they want to make happen. Go ahead.
Verse 4. Therefore, you mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Adonai Yah. Thus says the Adonai Yah to the mountains and to the hills, to the rivers and to the valleys, to the desolate wastes, and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. Therefore, thus says the Adonai Yah, Surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession.
Right. They said, look, the children of Israel have been spread out to the four corners of the globe. Titus came in 70 AD, killed 1.2 million of the children of Israel, sent the other, forced them down into Africa. Other ones were sent into Europe to work in their games to the death. Hey, they said, this land is open. We just go in there and just take it. Go ahead.
Which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey.
Now, this right here, just reading this could now cause you a problem now. See? Because the so-called Israelis, being that they control American governments and money and everything else, they have passed laws that it is illegal for you to say certain things against what they have done. Brother, grab this thing here. We got a couple of things I want to read now. They started with this Representative Omar, who made one statement against Israel, saying that, basically they were using their power to control governments. And what she said was true. And there are Gentiles and Israelis that have came out and said that what she said was true. Here's the problem. This is what she looked like. All right. This is what she looked like. Now, this woman with a head wrap turned around and called Israel out, basically that they are buying government system, which is absolutely, AIPAC is a lobbying group. That's what they do. They spend money and get laws passed that they want to get passed. It is a legal bribery system that is set forth in the United States. That's what the problem is. AIPAC is an Israeli thing. So they are using all of their money to pass whatever laws they want to pass to help their agenda. This is what the woman said. They completely condemned her and put forth some laws here. Brother, I want you to read this one right here. Start reading. This is, at first, it was HR 672, which is House Resolution 672, but it is no longer House Resolution 672. It is public law number 115-434 because Trump signed it into office. It is a law. So start that there.
We're starting at
down here. Yeah.
115th Congress of the United States of America at the second session begun and held at the city of Washington on Wednesday, the 3rd day of January, 2018. An act to require continued and enhanced annual reporting to Congress in the annual report on international religious freedom on anti-Semitic incidents in Europe, the safety and security of European Jewish communities, and the efforts of the United States to partner with European governments.
Stop. United States partnering with European governments. I need you to pay attention to certain words. Go ahead.
The European Union and civil society groups to combat anti-Semitism and for other purposes.
Now, understand, they had already passed the law that anybody who was working for the state had to make a loyalty clause to Israel. Now, you can live in America and set a flag on fire and it won't be a problem. But you have to sign a loyalty agreement to Israel where you ain't never been. Roll that one around in your cage for a little bit. But you can set a flag on fire. But you got to make a loyalty clause, sign this loyalty clause to a place you ain't never been. Go ahead.
Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress, assembled This act may be cited as the Combating European Anti-Semitism Act of 2017.
Why do we have a Combating European Anti-Semitism Act in America anyway? Go to Europe. Go ahead.
Findings. Congress finds the following. During the past decade, there has been a steady increase in anti-Semitic incidents in Europe, resulting in European Jews being the targets of physical and verbal harassment and even lethal terrorist attacks.
So they don't remember, way back when that they were bombing churches and we got little girls that died in church bombings. Don't nobody remember that. But they have nice little words for the things that happened to them. This is anti-Semitism. So we should have had anti-brotherism. I mean, they bombing us decades ago. What? Go ahead.
All of which has eroded personal and communal security and the quality of daily Jewish life.
They don't think they degraded our quality of life by setting them crosses on fire in our yard? And that was a Christian cross, by the way. See, that was the Christian Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. Everybody want to drop the first part of it. Everybody want to keep talking about Ku Klux Klan. Those were Christian Knights. I find it very interesting how everybody want to act like they don't know that that's what their real name is. Christian Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. Go ahead.
According to reporting by the European Union Agency of Fundamental Rights, between 2005 and 2014, anti-Semitic incidents increased in France from 508 to 851. In Germany, from 60 to 173.
That's all? Y'all know the kind of numbers of the things that we've gone through here? They didn't even count the atrocities that they did during slave time. You could just kill one of us in the middle of the street because, it's like an animal. So it was okay for you to do whatever you wanted to do to an animal. Go ahead.
You can still do that now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know. They done passed laws. Today the animals get treated better than us. Hey, animal insurance. Boy, that has got to be one of the most despicable things I've ever heard in my life. Now they got people, hey, you have to do all kind of things with the animal. You can't even tie a dog to a tree. Back in the days, that's why our dog was. It was tied to that tree. They said, no, the dog could run around in a circle and choke himself. Well, then that's a stupid dog. Read, man.
In Belgium, from 58 to 130. In Italy, from 49 to 86. And in the United Kingdom, from 459 to 1,168.
Now, they counting all these numbers. They got everything. We can produce these kind of numbers just by unarmed police shootings. Oh, right. Read.
Anti-Zionism has at times devolved into anti-Semitic attacks, prompting condemnation from many European leaders, including French Prime Minister Manuel Valls, British Prime Minister David Cameron, and German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Since 2010, the Department of State has adhered to the working definition of anti-Semitism by the European Monitoring Center on Racism and Xenophobia. Some contemporary examples of anti-Semitism include the following.
Listen.
Calling for, aiding, or justifying the killing or harming of Jews, often in the name of a radical ideology or an extremist view of religion.
Mm-hmm.
Making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews.
All right, stereotypical allegations about Jews. Read.
As such, or the power of Jews as a collective, especially, but not exclusively, the myth about a world Jewish conspiracy.
All right, so now you anti-Semitic because you might mention that there's a Jewish push to control the world. Go ahead.
A world Jewish conspiracy or of Jews controlling the media.
Jews controlling the media. Come on, man. All I got to do is pull up the media companies, find out who owned them, and it's Jews that own them. But if I say that, now I'm anti-Semitic. Read, man.
Economy, government, or other social institutions.
Economy. Wait. Then Bush said, when they was getting ready to do their stimulus, he said, we can't do our stimulus package right now because it's a Jewish holiday and our bankers are not here. Know why they didn't charge him with anti-Semitism? He should have went to jail. Read, man.
Accusing Jews as a people of being responsible for real or imagined wrongdoing.
So you can accuse them of doing anything wrong, or you anti-Semitic. No, y'all need to hear this. Read, man.
Accusing Jews as a people of being responsible for real or imagined wrongdoing.
Real. Stop, bro. Stop. So the dude do something. If I said, man, you did that. Yes, I did, but you are anti-Semitic. What? Read, man.
Committed by a single Jewish person or group, the state of Israel, or even for acts committed by
the state. You cannot speak out against evil things that was done by an entire state. Go ahead, bro.
Even for acts committed by non-Jews. Accusing the Jews as a people or Israel as a state of inventing or exaggerating the Holocaust.
Now y'all need to just rattle that around for a minute. Check this out. You have violated law. What happens is people don't really understand what a powerful takeover is. Whenever you get to the point where a group or an entity cannot be spoken about, understand, every day they say something about Trump. But the Jews have passed a law in America that you can't talk about them. But you can talk about the president every day on television, but you can't talk about a so-called Jew? What I mean, he got more power than the president. Something wrong with this picture, man. Go ahead, bro.
You know, you consider the times when in Daniel, you know, when they came together and actually had that, the write-up that they couldn't even pray.
Right.
Something like that. So it's them coming together and gaining that power.
Right.
You know.
And doing what they want to do in somebody else's land. So you can't speak. If you say anything against what they have said about the Holocaust, now you anti-Semitic. And all of this is being said from some people who are really proselytes. They're not Semitic anyway. Okay? That's the whole real underlining falsehood of this whole thing. Go ahead.
I like the part about exaggerating the Holocaust. In other words, you can't talk about how many numbers we say was killed.
And the number keep going up. The number has gone up to the point where people back up in the census and say, wait a minute, if that many people were killed, it wouldn't be any of y'all left. Right. Read.
Accusing Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel or to the alleged priorities of Jews worldwide than to the interest of their own countries.
Now understand something. With their loyalty clause, that they tried to get a Palestinian woman to sign a loyalty clause to Israel, and she lost her job because she wouldn't sign that loyalty clause. In that clause, it said that she would not boycott Israel or any Israeli company. Y'all know that's how we got our rights here, boycotting. But now you can't boycott Israel no matter what they do. Y'all have to see the writing on the wall. Okay, right before the vaccine companies were given, there was like a small schedule of vaccines. That vaccine schedule multiplied tremendously But right before it did, there were certain laws that were passed that removed the vaccine companies from any liability, and it set that you couldn't sue them but for so much. All of a sudden, then all these shots come out to where you might normally have 10 shots. Now they got like 34 shots that these kids are supposed to take. But the law was passed first. What do you think was going on? The writing was on the wall when the law was passed. What y'all need a law that y'all can't be sued for? Y'all make billions of dollars off of each medicine. Why would you need a law that you can't be sued? But they did that first. So pay attention. This is what's being done now. So what are they about to do that you're not allowed to speak about? See? That's why I won't take that 501c3. Because you see this stuff right here we talking about? If they talk about it at New Death, it'll be dead. Because they'll walk right in there and shut them down. Go ahead.
You know, this part about accusing Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel. You would want them to be more loyal to their own. That's
Yeah,
what's
but you
wrong
can't
with the rest
accuse
of
them.
us.
You can't say that, though. You can't say it. You can't say it. You can think it. You can feel it, but you can't say it. Read, man.
On October 16, 2004, the president signed into law the Global Anti-Semitism Review Act of 2004. This law provides the legal foundation for a reporting requirement provided by the Department of State annually on anti-Semitism around the world.
So you see how long they've been at this. See, while we're going about our business, they have been at this for decades, okay? And each a couple of years, they push forth a little bit more. They push forth a little bit more. And this was prime time. They got them a complete and utter idiot in office. They're going to push everything they can. He don't know where he coming or going. He don't know if he already got there or not. They said they're finna get rid of the press secretary. They don't need her. He has Twitter. He is his own press secretary. Go ahead.
In November 2015, the House of Representatives passed H-Res 354 by a vote of 418 to 0. Urging the Secretary of State to continue robust United States reporting on anti-Semitism by the Department of State and the Special Envoy to combat and monitor anti-Semitism. In 2016, the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, comprised of 31 member countries, adopted a working definition of anti-Semitism, which stated, anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews.
Certain perception of Jews. So if I'm not allowed to have my own perception of the individual in front of me, I am now a lawbreaker because my perception does not meet what he wants me to see. Read, man.
Which may be expressed as hatred toward Jews. Rhetorically and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed toward Jewish or non-Jewish individuals and or their property.
So I need you to pay attention to something. It says directed toward Jewish or non-Jewish individuals. So I can be accused of anti-Semitism if the person ain't even a Jew. Now I need y'all to pay attention to some things, because see, sometimes some stuff will roll off the tongue so easy that you don't really catch it when it come out. See, so you can be accused of anti-Semitism and the person is not even a Jew. That's like a white boy saying, you are disrespecting my blackness. Huh? I did that? I didn't see your blackness. I didn't know where it was. How did I disrespect it? According to this law, they can do that. Go ahead.
Toward Jewish community institutions and religious facilities. The IHRA further clarified that manifestations of anti-Semitism might also target the state of Israel. Conceived of as a Jewish collectivity, anti-Semitism frequently charges Jews with conspiring to harm humanity, and if it is often used to blame Jews for why things go wrong.
You can't do that. You know, I mean, even if it's true, you still can't do it. Go ahead.
It is expressed in speech, writing, visual forms, and action, and employs sinister stereotypes and negative character traits.
But they put pictures of us on every news thing promoting some kind of agenda, but you are not allowed to say, write, or present anything that may present them in a bad light. And I need you to pause for a second. Understand that Hollywood was their creation. How many movies have you ever seen a Jewish person represented in a negative way? Think about all the things that we have to do in movies. The people who even get Oscars, they have to do like all this wicked stuff. Count the number of wicked Jews you've seen in movies. Right. Let's go to this other one right here. Now, this one is about the critics of this bill, because if y'all ain't figured it out, that just took away your freedom of speech. Because now I can say whatever I want to say. It's you know, you got freedom of speech, except, you know, if they Jewish. I don't really remember that in the Constitution. I don't remember that, you know, that was there. But start on that second page right there, bro.
Critics of a Florida House bill that aims to crack down on anti-Semitism say the legislation is too narrow because it fails to address other forms of xenophobia and hate crimes.
Right. They only care about racism against Jewish people. So they can chop off the heads of 2 black people, but then go and call somebody a derogatory Jewish name, and now they're in trouble because of what they said, not the 2 heads that they cut off on the way over there. Go ahead.
And it violates the First Amendment by criminalizing legitimate criticisms of the state of Israel.
Right, which is what the woman did. It was a legitimate statement. Everything that she said was true. Go ahead.
HB 741, which would specify that the term religion include anti-Semitism for purposes of the hate crime statute. Among other things, passed unanimously is the Criminal Justice Subcommittee Tuesday morning. The bill is sponsored by Representative Randy Fine, a Republican of Brevard County, who is Jewish, and Michael Caruso, a Republican of Delray Beach. The co-sponsors are Representatives Jason Fisher, Republican for Jacksonville, Chip LaMarca, Republican for Lighthouse Point, and Spencer Roach, Republican for North Fort Myers. Fine told members of the Criminal Justice Subcommittee that he filed the bill in response to a recent uptick in anti-Semitism. As we have seen in recent weeks, unfortunately, anti-Semitism is alive and well in this country. He said, you can see it in the mainstreaming of certain language that's been used in Washington, D.C. I'm not Jewish, but I stand here with Fine because it doesn't take being Jewish to know what's right and wrong.
Right. With their control of all of these people, they have all of these people to go and set forth these things, so you can't even speak out on what is happening. So, in other words, the things that we just read, I could be locked up for. Because this was Yahweh saying what these imposters would do to Israel, what they have done, and taken the land, taken his heritage. Now you can read a certain part of the Bible and be accused of anti-Semitism from some people who are converts and are not Shemites anyway. All right, brother, let's go back to Ezekiel.
Ezekiel chapter 36 and verse 6. Prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, thus said the Adonai Yah. Behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because you have borne the shame of the heathen. Therefore thus says the Adonai Yah, I have lifted up mine hand, surely the heathen that are about you, they shall bear their shame. But you, O mountains of Israel, you shall shoot forth your branches, and yield your fruit to my people of Israel, for they are at hand to come. For behold, I am for you, and I'll turn unto you, and you shall be tilled and sown. And I'll multiply men upon you, all the house of Israel, even all of it. And the cities shall be inhabited, and the ways shall be built. And I'll multiply upon you man and beast, and they shall increase and bring fruit. And I'll settle you after your old estates, and will do better unto you than at your beginnings. And you shall know that I am Yah. Yea, I will cause men to walk upon you, even my people Israel. And they shall possess you, and you shall be their inheritance. And you shall no more henceforth bereave them of men. Thus says the Adonai Yah, because they say unto you, you land devoureth up men, and have bereaved your nations, therefore you shall devour men no more, neither bereave your nations any more, says the Adonai Yah. Neither will I cause men to hear in you the shame of the heathen any more, neither shall you bear the reproach of the people any more, neither shall you cause your nations to fall any more, says the Adonai Yah.
So Yahweh said he's going to do this for real Israel. Fake Israel said they're going to do it by causing the people not to be able to speak. Go ahead.
More of the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their own doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman.
Yahweh could be prosecuted for anti-Semitism. Because that was an anti-Shemitic remark right there that Yahweh just made. See, you can't speak out against Israel. Go ahead.
Wherefore I poured my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land, and for their idols wherewith they had polluted it. And I scattered them among the heathen.
Right, but let them tell it they all went to Germany. Because then they all came out of the same place to inhabit Israel. Yahweh said, I scattered them all around the world. Right, somebody lying. Go ahead.
And they were dispersed throughout the countries. According to their way and according to their doings, I judged them.
Yahweh says, I dispersed them through countries. They said they all went to one place. So who lying? The people or Yahweh? Who lying? Read, man.
And when they entered onto the heathen, whether they went, they profaned my holy name, when they said to them, These are the people of Yahweh, and are gone forth out of his land.
Right. So then when you talk about representing the house, we're supposed to represent the house of Israel. So as these nations see us and see how we act amongst them, now we're not representing our house the way that we're supposed to. Go ahead.
But I had pity for mine holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen, whether they went. Therefore say unto the house of Israel, Thus says the Adonai Yah, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for mine holy name's sake, which you have profaned among the heathen, whither you went. And I'll sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which you have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahweh, says the Adonai Yah, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. For I'll take you from among the heathen, and gather you out of all the countries, and will bring you into your own land.
I'm gathering you out of all the countries, not that one country that they say they all came out of. See? But see, now I'm a racist because I'm pointing out that what they say and what he say don't match. This is why they force other church organizations and tell them what books they can and cannot read out of. See, a lot of people don't understand why they have never heard these things. Because the people who are in control of those organizations dictate what is going to be taught. They think the pastor dictates that. The pastor does not dictate that. If he's a part of the Baptist convention, the Baptist convention set what for what you can teach. You can't own a McDonald's and sell a Burger King burger. They're going to shut you down. Go ahead.
Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean. From all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I'll take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I'll give you a heart of flesh.
Yeah, a heart of flesh will be able to follow his righteous law. Go ahead.
And I'll put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them.
Mm-hmm.
And you shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and you shall be my people, and I'll be your Elohim.
When you walk accordingly, you will then be my people, and I will be your Elohim. But you have to walk a certain way. You don't just walk around and talk about we the children of Elohim, but then you do whatever it is you want to do. And he said, them ain't my kids. I mean, y'all can see that just in between two parents. When a child start doing strange, one of the parents has said, your son here. Wait a minute, I thought he was ours. Well, he ours when he act like he got some sense. He yours when he do something stupid. Right. Read, man.
You know, even with the spirit of Elohim, brother, if what we see coming from them people over there is the spirit of Elohim, we all in trouble.
We all in trouble. But see, here's the thing. When you can control the media, most people don't see what happens over there. See? We only see the things that they allow us to see here on television. So we don't get a clear view of what's going on there. Go ahead.
Verse 29. I'll also save you from all your uncleanness, and I'll call for the corn and will increase it and lay no famine upon you. And I'll multiply the fruit of the tree and the increase of the field, that you shall receive no more reproach of famine among the heathen. Then shall you remember your own evil ways and your doings that were not good.
And he's gonna have to really do some things for us to remember, because we got that selective amnesia. We select to forget things that didn't go well in our favor. Yeah, we don't remember those things. We can remember everything that was done to us, but that amnesia kicks in when it come time for us to remember something we've done to somebody else. See, somebody will come and they'll be whining to you, telling their story. Oh my goodness, they treat me so wrong. What you do? Absolutely nothing. I was reading Psalms. Right. Go ahead, bro.
And loathe yourselves in your own sight for your lawlessness and for your abominations. Not for your sakes do I this, says the Adonai Yah. Be it known unto you. Be ashamed and confounded for your own ways, O house of Israel. Thus says the Adonai Yah.
Be confounded for your own ways, so it's time to do some self-check. See? So we pass those opportunities of self-check. That means Yahweh got to check you then. Because you refuse to check yourself. I guarantee you it's going to be much easier if you do self-check. Because if you wait for him to do it, you're not going to like how he do it. Guarantee it. Go ahead.
Thus says the Adonai Yah. In the day that I shall have cleansed you from all your lawlessness, I will also cause you to dwell in the cities, and the ways shall be built, and the desolate land shall be tilled, whereas it lay desolate in the sight of all that pass by. And they shall say, this land that was desolate is become like the Garden of Eden, and the waste and desolate and ruined cities are become fenced and are inhabited. Then the heathen that are left round about you shall know that I, Yahweh, built the ruined places and plant that was desolate. I, Yahweh, have spoken it, and I will do it.
So the heathen is not going to have any choice but to recognize you as the children of Israel when everything around the land changes when you get in it. When they see all of those things change, they're going to have to then realize, you mean to tell me this is what it was supposed to look like? That don't change until his people get there. Go ahead.
Thus says the Adonai Yah, I will yet for this be inquired of by the house of Israel, to do it for them. I will increase them with men like a flock, as the holy flock, as the flock of Jerusalem in her solemn feast. so shall the waste cities be filled with the flocks of men, and they shall know that I am Yahweh.
They shall know that I am Yahweh. And understand where they have this all capital Lord that originally said Yahweh. They took all of the names of Yah out of this book. And we were told to publish the name of Yahweh. Yet the imposters say the name too holy to say. Somebody lying. Let's go to Numbers chapter 1. And you guys that are in the graphics, skip past that one that we're on. We should be on slide number 8. Numbers chapter 1. Numbers 1, and we're going to read verses, we're going to start at verse 1. Chapter 1 and verse 1.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the congregation, on the first day of the 2nd month, in the 2nd year after they were come out of the land of Egypt, saying, Take you the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel, after their families, by the house of their fathers, with the number of their names, every male by their polls.
So as he's counting these families, it is going to go by the men. Go ahead.
From 20 years old and upward, all that are able to go forth to war in Israel.
All that are able to go forth to war in Israel. So that age of accountability is 20. So when you get back to the whole part of all of those that murmured against Yahweh, what was the cutoff age? It was 20. Go ahead.
And Aaron shall number them by their armies. And with you there shall be a man of every tribe, every one head of the house of his fathers. And these are the names of the men that shall stand with you. Of the tribe of Reuben, Elizur, the son of Shedor. Of Simeon, Shalumiel, the son of Zurishaddai. Of Yehuda, Nashon, the son of Amminadab. Of Issachar, Nathaniel, the son of Zuar. Of Zebulun, Eliab, the son of Helon.
Jump to verse 16.
These were the renowned of the congregation, princes of the tribes of their fathers, heads of thousands in Israel. And Moshe and Aaron took these men, which are expressed by their names, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the 2nd month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families, by the house of their fathers.
So the pedigrees then is decided through the house of their fathers. That's where the lineage goes. It follows the male. Go ahead.
According to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, by their polls. As Yahweh commanded Moshe, so he numbered them in the wilderness of Sinai.
All right, now jump to verse 47.
But the Levites after the tribe of their fathers were not numbered among them.
Right. Yahweh automatically had an exemption for the house of the priests. To this day, when you deal with all of the tax exemption and all of the things that go along with a church organization, that was set forth. They got it from Yahweh's word. Go ahead.
For Yahweh had spoken unto Moshe, saying, Only you shall not number the tribe of Levi, neither take the sum of them among the children of Israel. But you shall appoint the Levites over the tabernacle of testimony, and over all the vessels thereof, and over all things that belong to it. They shall bear the tabernacle and all the vessels thereof, and they shall minister unto it, and shall encamp round about the tabernacle.
Right. They're supposed to live around the tabernacle. If you go back even to a lot of the old churches, if you pay attention, there was a little house right on the property. Where do you think they got that from? Now the folks living in a mansion, they don't want to live in that little house. Go ahead.
And when the tabernacle sets forward, the Levites shall take it down. And when the tabernacle is to be pitched, the Levites shall set it up. And the stranger that comes near shall be put to death. And the children of Israel shall pitch their tents, every man by his own camp, and every man by his own standard throughout their hosts. But the Levites shall pitch round about the tabernacle of testimony, that there be no wrath upon the congregation of the children of Israel. And the Levites shall keep the charge of the tabernacle of testimony. And the children of Israel did according to all that Yahweh commanded Moshe, so did they.
So even as we look at the numbering of the children of Israel, it was done according to the men. What is set up in the Holy Bible is a patriarchal system, meaning that it goes through the male lineage. Let's go to Joshua chapter 7. But then we see an exemption for the Levites, the priests. So then what does that mean? See, a lot of times we're getting two things, and sometimes people, take that and they're ready to beat on their chest about, how much power the man got. And, I have to remind the man, you have power in good and in bad as well. Meaning that when something don't go right in that house, when he get his switch, guess who he looking for? I want you to still be beating on your chest now. Don't stop beating on your chest when he come, with that switch in his hand. Understand? It says glory and honor to the Jew first, then to the Gentile. There's order. So when it comes down to order in the house, glory and honor to the head of the house, but also tribulation and anguish to the head of the house first. See, you might find yourself going through something you can't figure out why. You the head of the house. You might want to go through that house and figure out, hey, what's going on in here? So what you talking about? Because I got a whooping down the street, and I ain't did nothing. So somebody in there did something. And I need to figure out who did it. Right. Go ahead, bro.
Joshua chapter 7 and verse 10. And Yahweh said unto Joshua, get you up. Wherefore lieth you thus upon your face?
Right. Yahweh expected him to know. They should have won this easy battle. Got up there, got towed up from the floor up. By somebody they should have just went and just smacked up. Psh, psh. Get on out of here, we Israel. Get on. But it didn't go that way. They went up there and got beat up. So now he crying all day. Yahweh let him get down on his face and cry all day. He said, man, get up. Why you lying down on your face? Why don't you know what's wrong? Point number one, he is expecting you to know what is going on in your house. See, we got some people that, saying they govern from the back seat. All right, well, whatever you want to do, baby. I don't know, hell, I ain't got time. Just tell me if it gets on fire, Right. Yahweh said point blank, why you laying down on your face? Why don't you know what's going on? Right. Read, man.
Israel has sinned, and they also transgressed my covenant which I commanded them. For they have even taken of the accursed thing, and have also stolen and disassembled also, and they have put it even among their own stuff.
Right. And why don't you know this? Why don't you know that some things has happened that ain't quite right? So you sitting here crying to me all day. Go figure it out. Go ahead.
Therefore the children of Israel could not stand before their enemies, but turned their backs before their enemies.
We read in the oracles, be careful. I send an angel to lead you in the way, but don't you provoke him, for he would not pardon your transgression, for my name is in him. So once something accursed happens among that house, the angel of Yahweh steps away from it, and now everything that happened gonna fail until you go get whatever that is, and whatever that is that done started, until you go stop it. But see, sometimes we're so busy trying to be liked that we can't do the job that need to be done. That's why you got parents that are more friends than parents. Well, the way we govern, we govern like friends. Right, them kids gonna kill you. Go ahead.
Because they were accursed. Neither will I be with you anymore. except you destroy the accursed from among you.
Mm-hmm.
Up, sanctify the people, and say, sanctify yourselves against tomorrow. For thus says the Adonai Elohim of Israel, there is an accursed thing in the midst of you, O Israel.
Do you recognize when an accursed thing has entered into your house? Do you recognize that a cursed thing has entered in your doors? When something causes a disease or a dis-ease in the body, you got to go and get it out of there. Go ahead.
You cannot stand before your enemies until you take away the accursed thing from among you.
Uh-huh.
In the morning, therefore, you shall be brought according to your tribes, and it shall be that the tribe which Yahweh takes shall come according to the families thereof, and the family which Yahweh shall take shall come by the households, and the household which Yahweh shall take shall come man by man.
Uh-huh.
And it shall be that he that is taken with the accursed thing shall be burnt with fire, he and all that he has, because he has transgressed the covenant of Yahweh, and because he has wrought folly in Israel.
So at this point, understand that his theft has caused other people to die. So now it's not just about the theft and bringing the accursed thing. Think about all of the people that have now suffered death because the angel of Yahweh stepped away from Israel. Go ahead.
So Yahshua rose up early in the morning and brought Israel by their tribes, and the tribe of Yehudah was taken. And he brought the family of Yehudah, and he took the family of the Zarhites.
Now, he's going tribe by tribe, house by house, man by man. It's called diligent inquiry to find out what happened. Do we go through all of the things to see what happened when there's a situation in our house? Go ahead.
And he brought the family of the Zarhites, man by man, and Zabdi was taken. And he brought his household, man by man, and Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Yehudah, was taken. And Yahshua said unto Achan, my son, give, I pray you, glory to Yahweh Elohim of Israel, and make confession unto him, and tell me now what you have done. Hide it not from me. And Achan answered Yahshua and said, indeed I have sinned against Yahweh Elohim of Israel, and thus have I done.
And y'all know that wouldn't have been one of us, right? They could have had 1,000 people and broke all 1,000 down to one. And they said, make confession and tell me, I don't know what you're talking about. Bro, just tell me what you did. Who did what? Bruh, you the only one left standing, bruh. What you do? I ain't did nothing. Right. They call it taking it to the grave. And that's exactly where it's going. It's going to the grave with you. We go ahead and keep the secret because you going to die with it. Matter of fact, we're going to get a double wide casket so we can put that sin right next to you. How about that? Go ahead, bro.
When I saw among the spoils of goodly Babylonish, when I saw among the spoils a goodly Babylonish garment, and 200 shekels of silver, and a wedge of gold of 50 shekels weight, then I coveted them, and took them. And, behold, they are hid in the earth in the midst of my tent, and the silver under it.
Right. I have done these things. I have brought vexation among the children of Israel, because now the angel of Yahweh has stepped away. And that is a serious thing. It's not even really about the stuff, coveting the stuff. The major problem was, if the angel of Yahweh is not with you and you are going to battle, now you're on your own. That's what the problem is. It's the exact same thing that Yahweh warned Moshe. All right, I'm going to send an angel to lead you, but do not provoke him. How do you provoke him? Doing whatever you think, feel, and believe. Because if you provoke him and he step away from you, he don't have to ask my permission. It says my name is in him. So when he gets ready to deal with you or punish you, he ain't got to go ask for Yahweh's permission. He already got it. He got his permission when he got the job. With the job comes the authority. So we think we're dealing directly with Yahweh. You dealing with that angel who has that authority. And you cause that angel to get a bad report. He's not going to get a bad report. He's not going to go back to Yahweh and say, I wasn't able to do it because, Sock didn't feel like getting up. You know, he had been out all night before, so he wanted to sleep in. Oh, I'm gonna kill you. That ain't, you're not gonna get that. No, what's gonna happen is he gonna either come get me and get me to that place, or he gonna get rid of me and put somebody else in that seat. He is not gonna receive a fair report because flesh decided to do what it wanted to do. That's not gonna work. Let's go to Job chapter 1. So then, being in charge of that house, Joshua had to go and figure out what was causing the issue and root out the issue so that Israel could go back on the path that they were supposed to be on in the beginning. Because the path stops. Once you bring in a cursed thing, once you get off the path, something has happened. You don't just go back and get back on the path. No, you got to figure out how I got off track, put it back on track. Now you can move forward. Job chapter 1, and let's read verses 1 through 5.
There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared Elohim and eschewed evil.
He hated evil. Go ahead.
And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep, and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the east.
So he was extremely rich. Go ahead.
And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them,
Listen.
and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned, and cursed Elohim in their hearts. Thus did Job continually.
So continually he's praying for his children. Do our prayers only include us? He said they might have sinned and done some strange things. He's doing offering and prayer for these children. We have to consider some things. Jump to chapter 42. Because as we get ready to make our appearances, you have to understand that you are representing for your family. So do you just go down and pray for you? If all your prayers is I, and then I, and then you know what I, and then me, you know, love me and love me, you know, and then a little more I, and a couple more me's. Okay, but I thought you had a family. So why all your prayers about you? Job chapter 42, let's read verses 10 through 17.
And Yahweh turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends.
I'm sorry, he prayed for who?
His friends.
Okay, so he still got this issue. I don't know if y'all, paid attention to the graphic before. The brother with boils all over his body. He done lost all his substance. He done lost all his children. His wife said, just curse Elohim and die. Because she's thinking about her own self, saying this is extremely inconvenient. And oh my God, you look horrible. But he goes through all of this. And his friends, understand now, these friends that he praying for, they've been a terror to him. They've said all kind of things. And he down. And they've said some really harsh things to him. But yet Yahweh doesn't restore him until he pray for the people who have actually done him wrong. Read.
Also, Yahweh gave Job twice as much as he had before.
Right, but he doesn't get that until he prays for somebody else, not for himself. See, that's that little selfish thing that we got. See? He gets his stuff back not by asking for his stuff back. He got his stuff back by praying for the people who said negative things to him while he was going through his trial. Go ahead, bro.
Yahshua was done the same with the people who was putting him to death.
Yes. He said, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Our prayers be about us, about what we want. And we're specific. I want the black Cadillac with the 22s, Yahweh. Not those 20s. They're too small. Right. Go ahead.
Then came there unto him all his brethren and all his sisters, and all they that had been of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house. And they bemoaned him, and comforted him over all the evil that Yahweh had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold.
This is how the community come and help restore a individual. Go ahead.
So Yahweh blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep, and 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she-asses.
But what if you're so stuck in the trial that you start behaving in a different way because you don't see the end of him restoring you better than you were before the trial? See, our fleshly eyes can only see but so far because we can't figure out how he's going to restore us. So we figure he must not be able to do it. Go ahead.
He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he called the name of the first Jemima.
Now, you got to pay attention here. This is a patriarchal society. But when it talks about the restoration of Job, it mentions his daughters. Go ahead.
And the name of the second, Keziah, and the name of the third, Karen Hapuk. And in all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job.
Right. Don't even mention the sons. This is a patriarchal system. It goes according to the man. They want to make sure that you understand Job was restored and his daughters was off the chain. Go ahead.
And their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. After this lived Job 140 years, and saw his sons and his sons' sons, even 4 generations. So Job died, being old and full of days.
But you know what? You don't see that when you're going through a trial. The man was to the point where he was asking for death. Just let me die. And y'all know what happened when we get in the midst of a trial and it don't look good? He said, look, just go ahead and let me die. I cursed the day I was born. And then y'all would give him all that stuff back and give him stuff that he didn't even have. But what happens if you get caught in the middle and you stuck there? Those are some things that we have to consider as we are getting ready, especially these men, as it is time to make our appearance. Let's go to James. Chapter 2. And we're going to read verses 1 through 13.
Jacob chapter 2 and verse 1. My brethren, have not the faith of our Adonai Yahshua the Mashiach, the Adonai of glory, with respect of persons. For if there come onto your assembly a man with a gold ring and goodly apparel, and there come in also a poor man in vile raiment, and you have respect to him that wears the gay clothing, and say unto him, sit you here in a good place, and say to the poor, stand you there, or sit here under my footstool. Are you not then partial in yourselves, and are become judges of evil thoughts? Hearken, my beloved brethren, has not Elohim chosen the poor of this world rich in faith, and heirs of the kingdom, which he has promised to them that love him? But you have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you and draw you before the judgment seats? Do not they blaspheme that worthy name by which you are called? If you fulfill the royal law according to the scripture,
Royal law according to the scripture. Now, this is the New Testament talking about royal law. Go ahead.
you shall love your neighbor as yourself, you do well. But if you have respect to persons, you commit sin and are convinced of the law as transgressors.
Right. And we entertain that respect to persons because there's certain people we will hear stuff from and other people we just won't. Go ahead.
For whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all. For he that said, do not commit adultery, said also, do not kill.
Right.
Now if you commit no adultery, yet if you kill, you are become a transgressor of the law.
Right.
So speak you, and so do, as they that shall be judged by the law of liberty. For he shall have judgment without mercy, that has showed no mercy, and mercy rejoice against judgment.
So then we have to consider, if we are those that are without mercy, then we don't deserve any mercy from Yahweh Elohim. So then we have to consider that as we go to make our appearances. Do we go and pray for the mercy of Yahweh while denying anybody else any mercy? Let's go to Proverbs chapter 8. So this is just not just about us just deciding or we're showing up before Yahweh. No, there's some things that we're supposed to be doing.
Proverbs chapter 8 and verse 1. Does not wisdom cry, and understanding put forth her voice?
Now, wisdom is mentioned as a woman. Understand, this is a patriarchal society where the men are in control of everything and have all power. Yet wisdom is mentioned as a her. Go ahead.
She stands in the top of high places, by the way in places of the paths. She cries at the gates, at the entry of the city, at the coming in at the doors. Unto you, O men, I call.
So then, wisdom, which is portrayed as a woman, is then calling unto the men. Go ahead.
And my voice is to the sons of man. O you simple, understand wisdom, and you fools, be you of an understanding heart. Hear, for I will speak of excellent things, and the opening of my lips shall be right things. For my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. There's nothing froward or perverse in them. They are all plain to him that understands, and right to them that find knowledge. Receive my instruction, and not silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all things that may be desired are not to be compared to it. I wisdom dwell with prudence, and find out knowledge of witty inventions. The fear of Yahweh is to hate evil.
The fear of Yahweh is to hate evil. See, if we're cool with evil, there's a certain amount of fear that we do not have for the creator of all things. Because light and darkness cannot occupy the same space at the same time. Go ahead.
Pride and arrogancy, and the evil way, and the froward mouth do I hate. Counsel is mine, and sound wisdom. I am understanding, I have strength. By me kings reign, and princes decree justice. By me princes rule, and nobles, even all the judges of the earth. I love them that love me, and those that seek me early shall find me. Riches and honor are with me, yea, durable riches and righteousness. My fruit is better than gold, yea, than fine gold, my revenue than choice silver. I lead in the way of righteousness, in the midst of the paths of judgment, that I may cause those that love me to inherit substance, and I will fill their treasures. Yahweh possessed me in the beginning of his way, before his works of old.
Yahweh possessed me in the beginning of his way, before his works of old. Go ahead.
I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was. When there were no depths, I was brought forth, when there were no fountains abounding with water. Before the mountains were settled, before the hills was I brought forth, while as yet he had not made the earth, nor the fields, nor the highest part of the dust of the world. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set a compass upon the face of the depth. When he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep. When he gave to the sea his decree, that the waters should not pass his commandment. When he appointed the foundations of the earth. Then I was by him, as one brought up with him, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him, rejoicing in the habitable part of his earth, and my delights were with the sons of men.
My delights were with the sons of men. So before Yahweh is creating these things, it says that this lady wisdom was there, and he used this wisdom to do great things. Then we have to consider that as men for these women, these wives that were given unto to men, that they have certain gifts and abilities. Do we use those abilities to get the best out of the family the way we're supposed to? See, you have that situation where Yahweh gives us things, but do we find out enough about those things to do what it is we're supposed to do? Go ahead.
Now therefore hearken unto me, O you children, for blessed are they that keep my ways. Hear instruction and be wise, and refuse it not. Blessed is the man that hears me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the post of my doors. For whoso finds me finds life, and shall obtain favor of Yah. But he that sins against me wrongs his own soul. All they that hate me love death.
All right, let's go to Proverbs 1. And I want to read a couple verses out of that. Let's go Proverbs 1, and let's start at verse 20.
Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 20. Wisdom cries without. She utters her voice in the streets. She cries in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates. In the city she utters her words, saying, How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? And the scorners delight in the scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof.
Will you be able to be reproved by wisdom if the wisdom does not come in the package that you're accustomed to? Right?
Behold, I will pour out my spirit onto you. I will make known my words unto you. Because I have called, and you refused, I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. But you have set at naught all my counsel, and would none of my reproof.
Right. You have set at naught all of my counsel, because we are in the belief that somebody gonna float down and give us some instruction. Y'all were like, no. I had that sister standing beside you. Yeah, I had her to give you that thing. Oh, you remember that brother you met at the market? I had him to tell you. No. I wasn't gonna float down the hall and scare the mess out of you. No. I got people for that. So I put my word in their mouth and had them talk to you. What's the problem? Well, I didn't really like the way they looked. Yahweh, I didn't want to hear them. All right, good luck. Because what you just refused was my counsel. Go ahead.
I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear comes.
Right. So when your problem comes, don't come hollering about me, because I already sent you what your deliverance was supposed to be. But you just didn't like the package that I sent it in. Go ahead.
When your fear comes as desolation, and your destruction comes as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you. Then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer.
Right.
They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me.
Right. Hindsight always 20/20. See, afterwards, then everybody want to come and say, I should have.
for that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of Yah.
Mm-hmm.
They would none of my counsel, they despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way, and be filled with their own devices. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whoso hearkens unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil.
Now, reading those in a poetic form is one thing. Dealing with that in a life situation is something altogether different. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 25. You know, folks, and read that. You know, that was a nice poem, Sop. That was nice. I mean, but you just won't be hawking into people, you know what I'm saying, running up on you. 1 Samuel chapter 25, and we're going to start at verse 23. And we're jumping to this point here because there are some things that have already taken place. Dawid is about to go and deal with this man because he felt like the man was not dealing in an equal way, and Dawid is about to kill him. 1 Samuel chapter 25 and verse 23.
And when Abigail saw Dawid, she hasted and lighted off the ass, and fell before Dawid on her face, and bowed herself to the ground, and fell at his feet, and said, Upon me, my master, upon me let this lawlessness be, and let your handmaid, I pray you speak in your audience, and hear the words of your handmaid.
Mm-hmm.
Let not my master, I pray you, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, your handmaid, saw not the young men of my master, whom you did send. Now therefore, my master, as Yahweh lives, and as your soul lives, seeing Yahweh had withholden you from coming to shed blood, and from avenging yourself with your own hand, now let your enemies, and they that seek evil to my master, be as Nabal. And now this blessing which your handmaid has brought unto my master, let it even be given unto the young men that follow my master. I pray you, forgive the trespass of your handmaid, for Yahweh will certainly make my master a sure house, because my master fighteth the battles of Yah, and evil has not been found in you all your days.
Right. So her husband ended up speaking very harshly to King David and said, who is King David? He ain't nobody. Dawid is on his way to go kill him. And he's not just going to kill him. They're going to end up killing everybody in the house. So then this woman goes with a gift to go and meet him before he makes it there, so that she can fix the problem that her husband caused with his big, strong manliness. See, here comes a little feminine power. See, people have to learn when to use their gifts and when to use their powers. Go ahead.
Yet a man is risen to pursue you and to seek your soul. But the soul of my master shall be bound in the bundle of life with Yahweh your Elohim. And the souls of your enemies, them shall he sling out as out of the middle of a sling. And it shall come to pass, when Yahweh shall have done to my master according to all the good that he has spoken concerning you, and shall have appointed you ruler over Israel.
Right. Now she's saying these things. He is not the ruler of Israel yet. Okay? Saul is still chasing him, trying to kill him. Go ahead.
And this thing is not known to everyone.
Hey, this lady wisdom. See, she not in the poem no more. Now she's standing in front of him. Go ahead.
That this shall be no grief unto you, nor offense of heart unto my master, either that you have shed blood causelessly.
You have to ask yourself, maybe they wrote these things because of these situations that happened to them. Because we're talking about some of these proverbs were written by Shlomo. So then, was he told the story and then wrote the psalm? because of the story? Go ahead.
Or that my master has avenged himself. But when Yahweh shall have dealt well with my master, then remember your handmaid. And Dawid said to Abigail, Blessed be Yahweh Elohim of Israel, which sent you this day to meet me.
Right. Now, Yahweh sent you this day to meet me. Now, what if he got respect of person? I ain't talking to you. Ain't you a woman? Get up in front of me. I'm talking to you. Go ahead.
And blessed be your advice.
Blessed be your advice. You can't advise me. Go ahead.
And blessed be you.
Blessed be you. Go ahead.
Which has kept me this day from coming to shed blood.
Which have kept me from performing my own will according to my flesh. Because I was hot and I was coming to kill me something. Somebody was going to die today. And they going to live. Because you stepped in front of me. See, I keep telling people, this is why it matters when you read this book, what kind of, there was always a certain kind of woman that the priest had to marry for the jobs that they had to do. You couldn't marry them women and be like, oh, I know you ain't gonna take that. You better go on over there, pull your pistol out there, shoot that fool, blast on him, blast him. Them kind gonna get you killed. Then you got the kind that try to talk peace. There's a different kind of wisdom there. Go ahead.
And from avenging myself with mine own hand.
Right. Go ahead.
For in very deed, as Yahweh Elohim of Israel lives, which has kept me back from hurting you.
Hurting you. It wasn't going to be a situation where he was just going to deal with that man. Those people were going to try to protect the house, and they all was going down. Go ahead.
Except you had hasted and come to meet me, surely there had not been left unto Nabal by the morning light any that piss against the wall.
Killing all the men. I was on my way to kill all of them. Go ahead.
So Dawid received of her hand that which she had brought him, and said unto her, Go up in peace to your house. See, I have hearkened to your voice, and have accepted your person.
I have hearkened to your voice. I have met Lady Wisdom, by the way, not in a poem, in face-to-face interaction, and your advice was better than what I intended to do. Go ahead.
And Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he held a feast in his house.
Right, now he about to be dead, but he's still partying though. See, that's just like most of us. See, he is like centimeters away from death, but I mean he boogieing. They turn that up. Right, you supposed to be dead right now. That man was on his way to kill you. Go ahead.
Like the feast of a king, and Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunken. Wherefore she told him nothing, less or more, until the morning light.
You see, that was a wise woman. She know not to talk to a drunk fool. What future is it in talking to a drunk fool? He ain't gonna remember nothing that you said anyway. She wise all the way around. Go ahead.
Even when you look at this, he says in the morning, like, he's drinking and partying. They would have been all drunk in the morning. It would have been easy slaughter.
They were going to be an easy slaughter while they were partying, period. They're not ready. They don't know which one to swing at because he see two of them. I punch the one on the left. I'm over here. The drunk dude, they're going to be a real easy fight. Go ahead.
But it came to pass in the morning, when the wine was gone out of Nabal, and his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him, and he became as a stone. And it came to pass about 10 days after, that Yahweh smote Nabal, that he died.
But Dawid didn't have to do it himself. So now his hands is still clean to this point. Go ahead.
And when Dawid heard that Nabal was dead, he said, Blessed be Yahweh that has pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal, and has kept his servant from evil. For Yahweh has returned the wickedness of Nabal upon his own head. And Dawid sent and communed with Abigail to take her to him to wife.
Right. He said, that is a wise woman. I need her to me. And old boy dead. So, hey, ain't no need of waiting around. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and take care of their business. A woman is bound to her husband as long as he lives. He dead. Baby girl, let me talk to you. Let me say something. I'm talking about, right? Hey, let's take care of his business. He was too wild to be with him anyway. He was a fool, you know what I'm saying? Come on over here. Right. But see, he understood. Now, this is a woman worth having. Let's go to our Proverbs 31. So then we have to consider those things as we go to make our appearances. Consider when these things was presented to Joshua, Yahweh wanted to know, why you laying down on your face crying? Get up and go take care of this business. So as we go to make our appearances, there are pluses and minuses that we have in our families. Those are the things that we're supposed to be praying about. Because at some point, you have to ask yourself, does your prayer become abomination because you go before Yahweh and there's certain things you ain't going to mention? Now, why are you not mentioning it? Proverbs 31, and let's start at verse 10.
Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies.
He knew it immediately. Immediately when he met her, he already knew she was different than every other woman. And it wasn't about how she looked. Go ahead.
The heart of her husband does safely trust in her.
Right. And sometimes people take, trust as 100% left or 100% right. You trust something based on what it is. I trust my cat to be a cat, and I trust my dog to be a dog. Meaning, I don't expect, when the robbers come in, I don't expect my cat to warn me. Okay? That's not what a cat does. Okay? The cat don't do that. So when you recognize this is your cat, trust it for what cats do. That don't mean I'm going to give it all my bank account information. I'm going to do all it, because that's not what the cat does. Now, this dog, on the other hand, it's a protector. It's going to let me know when somebody's out there sneaking in my grass. I'm going to put my dog out front. See? So when something happens, my dog going to tell me, all right, stop. Hey, stop. 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 Hey, get the gun, dog. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. They over there sneaking in the grass. Let's go. Let's do this. See? I trust him to do what he do. I expect him to do what he do. Now, if I'm expecting that out of my cat, my heart gonna get broke. Because that's not what my cat do. See? So now I'm trying to make my cat do what my dog do. My cat not gonna do that. And then I'm gonna have a broken heart. Because I keep trying to get this cat to do something that ain't really in the cat. So I trust it to be what it is. But you got to find out what that is. Read, man.
So that he shall have no need of spoil. Verse 12. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax and works willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant's ships. She bringeth her food from afar. She rises also while it is yet night, and gives meat for her household and a portion to her maidens.
And a lot of people like to throw out the virtuous woman thing, and when you start reading it, you find out, man, some folk can't get out of bed before noon. And they be like, I'm a virtuous woman. Baby girl, you might want to read virtuous woman again. Because I don't remember, she gets not out of her bed before noon. She does not. I don't think you reading that virtuous woman thing the correct way. When she get up later because she was doing something the night before. for her family. Go ahead.
She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard.
With the fruit of her hands. Go ahead.
She girds her loins with strength and strengthens her arms. She perceives that her merchandise is good. Her candle goes not out by night. She lays her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretches out her hand to the poor, yea, she reaches forth her hands to the needy. She's not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet.
Right. She done already made them stuff. She not worried about when it get cold. She not already taking care of that. Go ahead.
She makes herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes fine linen and sells it. She delivers girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come.
So Dawid was able to see all of this within one situation. See, what happens when we courting somebody, when we courting one another, we put forth our interview face. You know that interview face.
Hello, how art thou? Thou art thou art fine. Yes. Thee thine thithereth. Yes.
But when situation and circumstance come, that's when you see who you're dealing with. It was a situation. And he saw how she act. Boom. I need that. That's worth 3 months of fake courting, where everybody just pretending to be whatever they think the other person wants. And then sooner or later, one day, the regular person gonna show up. It might be a year, 2 years later. You just go in there like, so what happened?
I could not keep being whoever the hell that was. Woo! The real me had to show up. I tell you, I've been holding the real me in for so long.
What? But we, so who are you? Right. Go ahead, bro.
She opens her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looks well to the ways of her household, and eats not the bread of idleness.
Eats not the bread of idleness. Go ahead.
Her children arise up and call her blessed.
That's because they're taken care of. Go ahead.
Her husband also, and he praises her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but you excel them all. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain.
Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain. Because all looks fade eventually. If you ain't sure about it, go back. If you 45 now, go back and look at a picture of you when you were 25. If you ain't sure. And you go look at you, and you know what's strange? At 25, you already was sitting there saying you wanted to do this and do that, and you didn't really appreciate the beauty you had then. Look at that 25-year-old picture and look at you, and you be like,
If I could just get that back.
wait a minute, you ain't want that when you had it. You didn't think you was all that when you were 25. Now you're 45.
Oh my goodness, if I could just get back that 25. Oh my God. Good God, I was fine.
Look at that, right? Right. Sometimes something got to be gone before we appreciate it. Go ahead.
But a woman that fears Yahweh, she shall be praised.
A woman that fears Yahweh is the most beautiful thing on this planet. She is absolutely beautiful. I don't care what she look like. She is beautiful. Go ahead.
Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates.
Let her own works praise her. Her works speak for her. So then we consider some things. If these things are there, when we go and we make our appearance and we pray for our families, we make sure we accent those things. And if we are missing some of those things, then we go, when we make our appearance, we pray accordingly. It's not just about us. Yahweh put forth a family unit for a reason. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Romans chapter 8. Romans chapter 8, and we're going to start that at verse 18. We're going to read verses 18 through 28.
Romans chapter 8 and verse 18. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature waited for the manifestation of the sons of Elohim.
Right. The whole earth is waiting on you to stand in the place where the children of Israel are supposed to stand. The earth is not going to be able to live in the peace that it was designed for until you stand where you're supposed to stand. And a man can't stand the way he's supposed to stand if the woman don't stand where she's supposed to stand. Don't get it twisted when it talks about the sons of Elohim. The sons of Elohim have wives. And if they don't stand right, he don't stand right. Because it affects how he stands. Go ahead, brother.
You know, with this situation here that's going on with the whole law being passed, the Jewish people,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I can see how that right there is going to allow us to be seen and manifested, because we're going to have to talk up. We still speaking the truth.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to realize who is standing up for this thing.
Something's gonna have to happen.
Yeah.
You know, and the people who have received those 501c3, they're gonna get more and more quiet because their list of things that they can't say is going to keep growing. But I mean, they wasn't saying nothing anyway. But see, people don't know why we won't accept those things. You know, you accept those things, you can build you a nice, fine edifice. Get you, you know, buy the whole complex. Do all of those things. People say you ain't gonna buy the place next door. I said, no, because as soon as I teach the truth and it hurts somebody's feelings, they're gonna put a nickel in there. Then what we gonna do with that new building we just bought? See? Klepto and them, they don't have to worry about that because they got government they got grants to pay for those things. See? But I mean, they weren't going to teach the truth anyway, so they weren't going to tick nobody off. But that's something you got to consider. Go ahead.
Verse 20. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who has subjected the same in hope. Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of Elohim. For we know that the whole creation groans and travails in pain together until now. And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption, to wit, the redemption of our body. For we are saved by hope, but hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man sees, why does he yet hope for it? But if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it. Likewise, the Spirit also helps our infirmities.
All right, listen.
For we know that what we should pray for as we ought.
We know not
For
what
we know
we should
not,
pray for.
For we know not what we should pray for as we ought.
Right. There's certain things that we don't know. The Spirit helps us with those things. But then there's certain things you do know. Did you pray about that? Or we just conveniently leave that out when we go talk to Yahweh? Oh, no, you're going to be held accountable for that. Now, there's certain things you don't know around that corner. The Spirit helps us with that. But the Spirit ain't going to help you with stuff that it done already showed you. Didn't I show you that such and such had a issue? Yeah? Well, why you ain't pray about it? Right. Read.
But the Spirit itself makes intercessions for us with groanings which cannot be uttered. And he that searches the hearts knows what is the mind of the Spirit, because he makes intercessions for the saints according to the will of Elohim.
According to the will of Elohim, then those prayers are made to help the saints. But those are things that you don't know about. What is stopping you from praying about the things that he has shown you? Go ahead.
And we know that all things work together for good to them that love Elohim, to them who are the called according to his purpose.
All right. And that's something that we need to consider. We know that we are getting ready to keep our Feast of Weeks, which is also called Pentecost. And all males must make an appearance. And as we make our appearances, we will pray for ourselves and our families. Those sisters that do not have a man in their house, then Yahshua is your representative when it comes down to that. But we have to also consider what is written. It says, husbands, dwell with your wives according to knowledge, that your prayers be not hindered. So if you don't deal with that right, as you go to offer your prayers, there's already a problem with your prayer because you have not dealt with that according to knowledge. And what knowledge? According to the knowledge that you have with that individual. Yahweh has already showed you what the pluses and the minuses are in your house. Have you dealt with it accordingly? If not, your prayers are getting hindered. Consider that as we prepare, govern yourselves accordingly. We know that we have to make our appearances tonight. We are going to keep our Feast of Weeks, aka Pentecost, tonight starting at 9 p.m. And for all of those, when we get ready to make our appearances, as we always do, we will tell you the exact time that we're going to go outside. And then all of those people who are members of this congregation that are in other states and other cities and whatnot, you can all make your appearance with us so that we're all making our appearances, all the males, at the same time. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.